Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video we're going to be discussing the riskiest and bravest thing that Ninjago could potentially do to the Season 16 story. Of course, expected to come out at some point in 2022 next year, probably sooner than later. Now before we get any further into the video, I must give a quick disclaimer. Nothing I'm about to say in this video is 100% confirmed unless I say otherwise. This is simply a possibility of the riskiest and bravest thing that Ninjago could do. And what exactly is that extremely risky maneuver that Ninjago could incorporate into their story? Well, it would be to remove Jay entirely from the Ninjago series. Now, the idea of removing Jay entirely would of course be a very risky and very controversial maneuver to say the least. I know that there would be some people who would be up in arms in the Ninjago community, but how exactly would this take place? If Ninjago is to remove Jay entirely, of course that would be extremely risky and extremely brave of them, but how would that even take place? What would that look like? Well, I've seen a couple of people mention this in my comment section, and it kind of got me thinking that this could indeed work as a potential story idea, and that of course is the idea of Jay leaving the team to join Nia after her sacrifice during the ending of Ninjago Seabound. That does seem very likely, considering how much Jay missed Nia at the end of Seabound, and how likely it is that Jay will be experiencing some type of hardship following Nia's departure during the next season of Ninjago. What evidence do we have to support this? Well, admittedly, we don't have a whole lot. The closest thing that we have towards actual evidence is that infamous Jay figure that was going around a while ago, the leaked Jay minifigure from the Target ad, which I talked about on the channel several times. Now, of course, I cannot show the actual image in the video itself, so apologies there, due to it being a leaked figure and all, but I will leave a link down below in the description that'll bring you over to my Instagram, so maybe you can actually check it out there if you want to see what we're talking about. I assume most of you guys know what the leaked Jay figure was. It appears to be a new form of power-up ninja, which is very similar to Forbidden Spinjitzu both in look and presumably style when it actually appears in the show. Now, of course, being a new power-up, this could indeed suggest that Jay could go through a similar event to Nia, you know, sacrificing his own body in order to unlock some type of new elemental power, very similar to what Nia did during Seabound. Maybe it could be to defeat the Vendstone buyer, who knows? I feel like the leak of this new minifigure is not a minor thing, and it could very well suggest a new advancement for the show itself, but that's not a lot of hard evidence to suggest that Jay will be leaving the team or even leaving the show altogether. But let's just say for a second that in Season 16, or the next season for Ninjago, this does happen. Let's say Jay unlocks a new elemental power in a similar way to Nia, sacrifices his physical body, all that kind of stuff, and then joins up with her towards the end of the season, and the two of them could live in harmony forever. How would that affect the show? And more importantly, how would that affect the fan base? I have a couple of positive and negative things to say about this predicament and this possibility, because honestly I can see both sides here. I could see a lot of good things coming from Jay potentially leaving the team and joining up with Nia, but I could also see an equal amount of bad things, even more so in the negative section. So why don't we go ahead and talk about that? Let's first start off by taking a look at the positives. So for positives, the first one that I want to talk about here is the idea that Jay leaving the team will break up the formula a little bit and will make Ninjago seem a little bit more new, a little bit less predictable than other seasons. Ninjago has done some risky and controversial things before, but I feel like doing something such as this could very much shake up the formula even more so than what we've seen in previous seasons. There are several Ninjago seasons that try to do something different and try to be a little bit more ambitious, but at the same time you have a lot of Ninjago seasons that are very much by the books and very predictable, if that makes sense. I feel like having Jay sacrifice his own body and join up with Nia and leave the team permanently would not only shake up the show, but it would also shake up the audience. It would give us something new, it would give us something fresh. Additionally, it would probably give us a very emotional story as well. Much like Nia's sacrifice during Seabound, having Jay sacrifice his own body could be a little more emotional than Nia's to an extent, with Jay doing it for Nia's sake, instead of Nia just doing it to save Ninjago, if that makes sense. I feel like Jay would be doing it for more personal reasons, and that would very much follow through with his character arc during the next season, if he is indeed going to be sad or down for a lot of the story. I feel like Jay sacrificing himself could in fact be a good way to express all of those emotions, and as such, it could make for a very unique and very emotional Ninjago story. It would also be probably the most dramatic thing that we'd ever seen before. We've seen sacrifices before as well, but at the same time, I always thought that a lot of the Ninjago sacrifices could be even more sad and even more dramatic. It would take a lot to top sacrifices such as Zane's during Season 3, but I feel like Ninjago could indeed do it if they so wanted to, and why not have that with Jay? I feel like that could make for a very dramatic thing, especially because Jay is is a very popular Ninjago character. I feel like it would hit a lot of the fan base a lot harder than other sacrifices like Nia's or Zane's. And for the last positive, it could be a good way for Jay and Nia to finally get back together. If Jay sacrifices himself in a similar way to Nia, they could forever be together because they would both be elemental beings of pure energy. In my opinion, it would be a very sweet way to bring Jay's character full circle, where he finally gets to be with Nia again and all of his emotions are settled and calmed. I think that would be a great way to bring Jay and Nia back together, but at the same time, they could be together again if Nia just simply returns to the story, which is a good segue into the negatives of Jay potentially sacrificing himself and leaving the team. For our first negative, fans will no doubt hate this decision, especially Jay fans. From my experience and from what I've seen from my comment section, Jay is one of the most popular Ninjago characters. I'm not sure if he's the most popular ninja by default in my audience, but a lot of people really love Jay's character, which means if Jay is to be removed entirely from the show, I feel like a lot of people would no doubt be upset, and I don't think that's a bad thing either. Ninjago fans on record get upset over small things and very insignificant things, but Jay leaving would not only cause a big rift within the ninja team itself, it would also cause a huge rift within the fan base because one of the most popular ninja was just taken out of the show. Going off of what I just said, this would also provide a not so good impact to the team itself, because the ninja team would be down 2 members at this point. With Nia leaving during Seabound and Jay leaving this next season, it would leave the team with only 4 members, those of course being Kai, Lloyd, Cole, and Zane, which I don't think is a bad thing by default because that is a very solid lineup and Ninjago was born with only 4 ninja, so it's not like it couldn't work, but at the same time Jay was one of the founding members of the team. Having him removed would greatly shift up the team in a not so good way. Like I said, I think it could very well work with only 4 ninja. I feel like with certain scenarios the storyline would flow even better with less ninja, but Jay and Nia especially are very popular established members of the team that contribute to the team in their own unique ways. Removing them entirely from the story would not only give the team less members, but it would also leave a negative effect on the TV show itself, in my own personal opinion. Even having an option where Jay and Nia are still part of the team, they're just doing their own thing, even that would kind of take away from the team aspect of Ninjago, if that makes sense. I feel like the team is only destined to come back together again following Nia's sacrifice, and I do not feel like the team will lose another member. And I feel like it's more obvious that Nia is going to be coming back, and she will rejoin the team after her sacrifice during Seabound. To me, that just makes more sense. And for the last thing that we're going to be talking about in the negative section, in my opinion, having Jay sacrifice himself in a similar way to Nia would just feel like a complete ripoff of Nia's sacrifice. While having Jay sacrifice himself would indeed change up things like the tone and formula of the series, in my opinion it would also be extremely similar to Nia's departure from Seabound, and we really don't want a repeat of that. I think that Nia's sacrifice does not deserve to be a copy and paste thing that Ninjago just uses whenever they want to shift things up a little bit. In my opinion, having Jay sacrifice himself in a similar manner to Nia would just simply feel like a retread and wouldn't really be anything new after all, even though on paper it sounds like it would be something new entirely. In actual execution and practical use, I feel like Jay's sacrifice, if that is going to happen, would be a little too similar to Nia's. So I think that's the biggest weakness that this potential storyline has. I feel like it would be very similar to an already established story arc that a lot of people really love, that of course being Nia's sacrifice. If I had to decide whether or not something like this would happen, of course Jay sacrificing his physical body, leaving the team, joining up with Nia, etc. If I had to make a judgment call right now, I do not think that this is going to happen. I think it is possible, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the team has other ideas in mind. I feel like the Ninjago staff has a different idea of where the story can go instead of sacrificing another character. While it would be risky and while it would be controversial to say the least, I feel like the Ninjago team, like I said, has other things in mind that will be even better than what any of us can indeed predict. So once again, my personal stance on this matter, I think it would be risky and it would indeed be brave of the Ninjago team to do this, but I do not think personally that this is going to happen. We've gone through some positives and some negatives, and with that being said, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video here today. But let me know down below in the comments what you think about this, you guys. Now it's time to hear your opinions. Leave a comment down below talking about whether or not you think Jay's sacrifice would be a good thing for the show or a bad thing. Why or why not? Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Like I said, that's going to do it for this one here today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description for my other forms of social media. As always, big shout out goes out to my Patreon supporters, including once again the Marvelous Chan. Thank you guys so much much for checking out this video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that I bid you farewell.